How's it going, everyone? We are back. It's a whole new series. It's in action. I like the name. I like the pun. And if it's a completely slow deck that doesn't do anything, sets fives and passes, it's going to be in action. You won't really notice the difference unless it's titled. So, you'll see. One word verse two. Anyway, today we're doing Runick Bystial. If you want the deck list, we've done a video for that, which will be linked down below. If you've got a really short attention span, we've done a 60-second cut of that, which will again be linked down below. We're going to get into some games, we're going to look at some footage, do a bit of commentary on the deck. It won a YCS, it's not bad, you know, and this is an amended version. There are a few other techs that I've been playing more recently that I'll discuss, and another one that I've tested that absolutely sucks, which I'll get into. Do you know what? I'll do that now, just in case I don't do it in the outro. The shufflers really overperform. You have an easy, accessible discard outlet, and don't get me wrong, you want to side them in case it's just an absolute death sentence to the deck that you're playing against, because you can jam up on them late game, but you kind of draw a lot, and you have an extra deck discard outlet. You have two, actually. So, yeah, they are pretty solid. However, sprint into sending Merly to get a free Dragstapelia, just don't do it in this build. It's really bad. I thought it'd be good. It was good in theory. Oh, no, not for me. Maybe it'll work for you, so there's some inspiration anyway. But without further ado, let's get into game one. Before we get into the matches, we are just going to have a quick look at the main combo line. This is really play as you go. Your combo can change as you draw, because you draw so much throughout your combo, because you can loop Fountain. You have a good 3 other draw options in your extra deck that you can pivot into. But this is your bread and butter, bog standard line that it's designed to do. Now, that is Quem, which is a 3 of, Bystials, which are really accessible because you've got your 3 Lubellion and then your 4 names, so not difficult to get, and your Runick card, which you're running more than half your deck of. So, odds on, it's not so unlikely. You also need a blank card, but seeing as you're opening, you will have one, and chances are that's going to be maybe another Runick that you can plus off. But either way, start off by normaling the Quem, activate the Quem. Now, before the YCS top, this was a complete sleeper, and as much as Moz will disagree with me, I don't think many people were hitting this. They were just like, yeah, whatever, Quem's fine. From this point, you activate your Runick spell to special summon your Hugin, chainlink 1 Hugin, discarding your blank, chainlink 2 Quem, to reborn your Ecclesia. So, I mean, it causes a different purpose. Your Hugin is not ashable in this situation because you've chain blocked with the Quem. It is susceptible to targeted negation, but that is why we play Duality. And if you don't have Duality and they happen to have Imperm or Veiler, it's one of those you can typically play through it. Either way, from there we're going to activate Ecclesia to E-Telly out the Golden Sword Soul from deck. Typically now, you can just go ahead and insulate going into Tri-Edge, drawing another blank card, which will hopefully give you a relevant level, or a Runick card, or some kind of extender. It's not going to be a vanilla. So, again, you're going to be extending your plays here realistically. But the bare minimum, that gets you a Baron, which is probably your main thing to go into first. You can banish the Tri-Edge, and then go ahead. It doesn't have to be the Tri-Edge. Go ahead and activate the Golden Sword Soul. Notably, if you've used Magnamut here, you can chain block with Golden Sword Soul. So we don't want to negate our own thing. Bring back one of them, doesn't matter which, and go into another 10 of your choice. if you have level synergy, Disparter, and then bring back the golden, and you have gone 3 for tuners. Ecclesia will be added back in the end phase, meaning you realistically have gone 4 depending on the levels you put out, because a fusion has gone to grave during this turn, and that is your bare minimum bread and butter combo if you have access to your tuner lines. Obviously, you can draw any combination of them. You can end up in situations where you've done your starting setup, but you have your Ecclesia in hand. In that instance, you would likely just dump the Golden Sword Soul off your Quem and discard your Ecclesia as the cost for Hugin, and your line is then the same. Everything is alive in the same degree. Pretty much play from there. You've got a live fountain. You've gone through a draw, so you've plussed plenty, and you have 2. Well, currently you have negation from. Well, you've got destruction for a monster. You've got an Omni, and assuming you activate any other runic that does some milling, 1 banish card, shuffle it into the deck. Yeah, you've got a negation, a monster negation, assuming you've banished any amount of your opponent's cards. It's pretty strong. It doesn't look like a lot on the surface, but yeah, you'll see it play out a bunch.
Fight time or something to that effect.
And we are in our game 1. So, if I remember right, it's Centurion, and we are probably going to have to play through a Calamity here, is my immediate thing. I'm gonna obviously try and it just not have it auto kill us. So we're just trying to deny them assets. We eat an interruption out of the hand and get them pretty low on card economy, but they can just pop out and return. We blow that up, not knowing they can just tag it in the other way. Special summoning the Ecclesia and tagging out is pretty handy here. We're opting for Sleipnir just to try and force the situation. My thinking, before seeing that there effect Veiler, was banishing the target for the Crimson Dragon, just leaving them on nothing. But something to notice, and we will get into with this as the game plays out, it's kind of a one-trick pony, whereas we are not. So they have activated the Calamity. We set 1. We pass. We probably should have activated the Regain, knowing that something would be banished, and we could have profited off that. They're going through the motions, just trying to push through, and we have put up the token, which is kind of a big deal. There's a weird amount of synergy in this deck with the token. We can soak up a lot of damage, and they can't really profitably use the Scarlight, otherwise they're blowing up more of their resources than ours. It seems as if we're top decking, but never count Runick out, and that is why. So they're just pivoting through the plays again. We're going to try and deny them of that. But again, they can just do the quick effect tags. So that being said, they committed to a summon, and that their token on the draw, I believe it was on the draw, or on an ad, notably it gives us a Bystial, which is dark, and a level 4 token, which is light, and a pivot into a Chaos Angel, which does not care if anything's a tuner. So, we're just going to start ripping the board apart now. Easy as that. We're going to get full tuner access. We're probably going to be able to recycle the tuners if we want to. But otherwise, we're just deep drawing, and yeah, you play a critical mass of runic cards, and you can play a little risky. You'll get punished every now and then. So, what happened there right at the end? We passed priority. We would have established a Baron, we would have just kept pushing, and we would have had full control of the game. However, on passing priority at that point, they waited for a while, called us a filthy time waster, as their clock was ticking down, and they just ran it till the time limit was up. twice. So, you know, either they didn't read or they were the salty ones. Either way, yeah, it's pretty flexible. Don't just auto scoop on getting calamityed. It's they weren't able to push through just minor interactions on our turn. You can really play a slow game and control it with this deck. So that's a point to Runick. There are downsides. So we'll go ahead and get into game 2. And the game 2 that we are in was in fact a game 2. I believe this was against Unchained, and I believe it was a heads-up list. Currently, I don't have Phantasme in the side for current format, but I was testing with it. It's kind of nice to deep draw, and obviously then playing Unchained, it's a no-brainer to put in. It immediately contests Little Knight, which I like about it. I'm unsure of how I feel about it. On a local level, it's not worth it because Little Knight is so inaccessible. On a higher level, it may be worth it. Depends. It's a little weird now. Fire King's at full power. But yeah, we've got a reasonable hand. We've drawn the searchable tuner, which isn't great. And also this list, I believe, was Live Twin, really heads up, really good, and we are going to get absolutely just done here. So we're doing our regular combo. We're going to ditch that extra tuner because we don't need it. We have an abundance. We're going to tag out into Golden. This is usually the full line. We're getting plenty of draws. We're into Baron. Our plays are insulated. And we are we going greedy? No, we didn't search the additional fountain. We played it a bit more conservatively. We did get into the Phantasme, and we have got a live fountain with the freezing curses. Now, I made a mistake and negated a rotor. Don't do it. I got a little bit trigger happy, hoping to mess the hand up because you can't really go for destroying the live twins, which I think I had in my head at the time. Everything's trading quite nicely right up until the point the Unchained combo kicks in. These cards are just phenomenal. The Yama comes out. Unfortunately, that gets them Red Dog. We do Phantasme this, but they get the ad back, and this is just where it starts to go all wrong. I'm still fairly confident they can more or less eat the board here, and then the bomb drops, and I forgot just how much of a house this is for cracking a board. I thought we'd lose some and be able to get back, but oh no, we're going to get cleared out by that bomb. We top deck the fountain, which is fantastic, but unfortunately the trap immediately contests it. Because of the bomb being on field, we lose the other resource loop that we've got. We can start messing the graveyard up, and we can establish more tuners. I didn't know which way to go with this. I definitely shouldn't have gone with Legacia here, but I was hoping to deep draw. We recur the fountain, and we clear their board. So, 2 cards, we've got a lot going for us, but it's a deck of rotors, so they're just consistently deck thinning and re-establishing the advantage loops. The Unchains again are just kind of nuts. I did not want them getting the trap set from that. At this point, I thought it was kind of an odd play and they could have just reborn the bomb. But this way they actually get to contest the entire board and reset up Disruption. And now it's looking kind of bad. We're going for the Sleipnir just because it can dodge. We're building a wall and just trying to get through here, hoping for the good top decks. Again, trying to deprive them of more resources via Yama. But their resource loop is fully live. They clear our board again, and this time we have no fallback. We can just special that from hand. We decide to disrespect a little bit just by trying to banish a few off the top. Nothing productive we could have done there. They don't even take any bait. They go straight to battle and clean it up. So, yeah. A deck that I was unfamiliar with. 2 really good resource engines. And Probably had the tools to deal with it, but just didn't know how. It's good to see Unchained is still kicking though. On to game 3. Next game, and I needed to feel a little better about myself, and Rashid, who's just an absolute legend from the Discord, offered to test. We did a few test games, got some good footage, playing some really heads-up techs in Labyrinth, and it was a pretty good game, so we'll get right into it. So they are going first and doing Labyrinth combos with rollback. Rollback generally pretty scary, just them being able to double up on the disruption is kind of big. Opening the Ash was nice there, and the Magna, but rollback obviously will still allow them to establish Lady. My entire game plan from this point: banish the Lady and establish some resource loops. Knowing typically people are just going to be going after Fountain as hard as possible, I'm kind of opting for all the others. The burn damage here is quite big just because taking the half off rollback is already a bit of a pain, and we have got the Lady banished. I feel okay about putting the pink one back. I think we can deal with that, and we're just going to keep pushing through. Yeah, we're getting the reborns now as well. My plan here was establish 2 regained. I noticed Labyrinth really struggled to just put the bodies on field, and every time they commit to a summon, we're equalising through the regains. The pressure of putting the Fountain down with the draw 3s helps to maintain that. So we summon, and there is one of the techs. We have got Terrors of the Overroot, yeah, notably this is also a field spell out, but they're getting rid of our tuner and giving us a useless set Ash. And we have the Bystial set up. I'm expecting here for my draws to get disrupted pretty heavily. They've burnt again with another rollback, so they are pretty low, and we can start forcing things here. Regained is just a dumb card sometimes, so you'll notice the IDP is going to flip up in a second. We've gone up on bodies. They've put a dragon in the grave. It passes to our turn, and that IDP flips. We managed to negate the advantage side of things. They banish, we put it back, we get a reborn, double regained is stupid, and they have to imperm the Scarlight here. I'm just going to rip that back row apart first real quick, forcing out the imperm and getting the banishes on the others. They have to clear this Scarlight now. It's too easy to just do the damage and push through, especially with all these special summons happening. So they really need to get a permanent solution to just getting it out of the game, which is particularly difficult. So they do via our Chaos Angel. We try and put it back, but the Ashers, and that now leaves us where we can just pivot into Disparter, which is huge. We have lethal, we steal their Lady, we notice that we can't disrespect by just hitting over with Lady, so I guess Disparter will have to do. Good game, and we will get on to the next game in this set. Okay, second Labyrinth game here, and I think this ends up being relatively clean if memory serves. So they are going first, having lost the first game. They've established I always get mixed up, a Lady, not a Lovely. Them having a monster, we can pivot through our tuners and get the search for our Bystials. We're just going to try and get some advantage before we commit to anything big for those reasons. The bounce back is an absolute pain here because we could have just cleared the board if we'd have managed to get the steal, but it's cool. We managed to get a Fountain, go into the Little Knight, clear the back row, and we have to pass there. So we're kind of equalised here. They opt to just clear the Little Knight because it's such a pain. They get the set, we get the banish, and we actually resolve. We don't resolve. So we're just putting up a wall here. And do we? We do, the draw 3, which is so big all the time. Whenever it happens, you tend to end up in situations like this. Scarlight, also a combo piece just to keep those Bystials live. We get back into the regained, we get a draw off the Legatia, the pop is not necessary. We're banishing and recurring the Hugin, and then we establish a Baron. So we've got a big body and a Baron, and one card in hand. And that will be all she wrote. Rollback is fantastic, but the life point drop can be a pain. Usually it puts you so over the top that it doesn't matter. Yeah, Scarlight still in 2024 can be a hell of a card. It's not just a time card, people. Raigeki in the board and doing burn is big. Being able to pivot through combos using it with duality, or just hard synchroing it to get a little bit of extra advantage while you're laddering, is also good. Big thank you to Rashid again. Awesome testing. You'll probably see more of him on this series. And on to the last game. Okay, last game of the video. I believe it was 2 against, I want to say Dragon Link, if memory serves. So standard runic things. We just got the search in the draw. We're using Alvain here, which sometimes it's just worth it just to start getting your engine in rotation. Also, notably, to make tri-edge for your standard line, Alvain and Jerry also do it. You kind of reverse your tuners there on the levels. We've got Bystial things happening, but we are going to eat a effect veiler there. It's fine. That regained is pretty great. And the duality probably coming in clutch. It gives us a hand trap. We get a free Bystial there. We get nibbed, and my god, Little Knight is just an obnoxious card. You will notice here, we eat a nib, and because of the combination of Little Knight and Regained, our board doesn't change, but we get a 2/5 token. So they actually gave us something. Okay, starting with the Tracer, we're just going to get the Magna for the search. We have established the Druis Worm, which is big here. We'll hit them with the Ash to prevent the boot set to launch. They're going to Ash our draw 3. Notice we're way too far ahead. With an extra deck banish sat on the field, with the possibility of oh, it's not working now that we've gotten to the end screen, with the Druis Worm. So we had a banish and ascend with just a wall. So that was quick, and on to our final game. Last game with open draw, and it's against Dragon Link. Should be pretty okay. We opt for letting them get the boot sector just so we can drop the draw on them. Not that we had much choice anyway. Looking at the hand and going second. I should get better at this commentary stuff. They are now put on just putting up a Savage and passing. Dealing with a negate, I think we're fine. So they've let that resolve. With Tri-Edge and we get drolled. Typhon will just deal with that. They Lancia in end phase, which confuses me to no end. We get into their turn, and I just can't understand why I can resolve Runics for a second, but I am noticing I'm getting the prompts. Obviously not a problem that you have in real play. We're getting rid of some of their resources. We get the negate, we get the draw 3. We've established a Phantasme. And that anti-spell would have sucked had they drawn it. Coming back to us, and we're just doing advantage things. We're just doing runic things. We summon a tuner and they call it a day. So, yeah, the anti-spell would have been rough. Probably don't Lancia in end step, but it will confuse your opponent when for some reason they notice they can play. And let's go ahead and move to a bit of a summarization here. So, The deck is good. It's in a weird spot now, particularly with Fire Kings. We're in a fire format. It's got one strong matchup, which is Labyrinth. There's a lot of issues with the deck, but there's also just a lot of issues with Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now. Runick has kind of allowed me to continue playing in this format, whereas otherwise I'd probably be relying on... I'd just go non-competitive for a little bit. We tend to be able to swing picking up any decks we want, but on a moral level, I am not paying for the Fire Engine, even if I could justify it. I'd have to be hitting every event I could possibly go to all the time, and what can I say? I make content and have a life. Circumstances will vary. Maybe the Fur Hire build would be what I'd recommend. Apparently Runick has spiked a little bit because it's in this little niche. But it performs. It tends to absolutely bat rogue about. In a light and dark format, it's brilliant. It's also, I've noticed, the only Runick build that pretty much goes infinite on advantage. Everything you have is recurable. Apart from, like, your Baron, but Baron's self-recurring, but if it does end up in grave, you kind of just... that's just it. By and large, though, if it's a light and a dark, you've got a way of getting it back. Your fountains getting banished is kind of big, but you've got a lot of ways of protecting. You've got a lot of negation you can put up. I tend to like this build over the other builds that I explained because it has a far more explosive start, due to being able to access 3 tuners and recur 1. You get a lot of bodies depending how your hand shapes up. Yeah, all in all, it is currently my main deck. So, would not recommend paying the prices that it seemed to spike to post-win. Luckily, I got it just before the YCS win. So, yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know anything that you changed. Like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends, hit the bell icon. We're doing a new thing. I hope you enjoy. And let's change the subject, people. I'm leaving.